Glenn Greenwald, in one of your recent articles, you suggest that Hillary Clinton has demonstrated comparable support for what you call, quote, the world's worst despots.
Well, two things. That article that I wrote about Hillary Clinton grew out of the debate where she attacked Bernie Sanders for comments he made in the 1980s. In which he said positive things both about Fidel Castro and also the Sandinista government in Nicaragua. And she very self-righteously said, how could you possibly praise a government that is oppressive and tyrannical? And yet, if you look at Hillary Clinton's record, not in the 1980s, but far more recently, in the last 5 to 6 years, she has embraced and expressed extreme levels of support for some of the world's most brutal and horrific dictators. She called President Mubarak of Egypt a close personal friend of her family and expressed all kinds of support for him at the time that the government of which she was a part was arming and funding him. She did the same with the Saudis. The Clinton Foundation has raised money from some of the worst and most oppressive dictatorships in the Persian Gulf, including the Saudis and the Qataris and the Emirates and the Bahrainis. Hillary Clinton, essentially, her record has been one of embracing and supporting in all kinds of ways the world's worst tyrants. The other aspect that I would add is that not just those Persian Gulf regimes, but one of the things that Hillary Clinton has done with very little notice has been to make a central part of her campaign embracing not just the right-wing Israeli government, but Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu himself. She's written op-eds in Jewish journals and in the foreword talking about the need to get even closer to Israel, if you can imagine that. And then the speech she just gave to AIPAC was about the most disgustingly militaristic, hawkish, pro-Israel speech I think that you could ever possibly hear without the slightest even pretense of concern for people in Palestine or in Libya, where she supported a war that has caused great instability, or in Iraq, where she supported a war that has imposed huge amounts of suffering. And so it's very easy to talk about Donald Trump being close to dictators or being dangerous, but there has been a huge amount of Hillary Clinton's record that has spawned immense amounts of tyranny and violence in the world that Democrats and progressives are steadfastly ignoring.